Joined in studio by Skywalker Steele, Voch Lombardi of The Volume, joining us here on 105.3 The Fan. You can find both of these gentlemen on Twitter at Voch Lombardi, at Skywalker Steele, talking Cowboys football as the Cowboys get ready for the Raiders on Saturday evening at 7 o'clock. Final preseason game of the 2023 NFL preseason schedule before they open up their 2023 season against the New York Football Giants.
Don't they always do that? Isn't that
it
always
feels
on the
like
schedule?
it every time at this point. You remember when Eli opened up AT&T way back when, about 14, 15 years ago? And I was like, damn it.
I was like, what are you doing right now?
First time at AT&T Stadium. First time Jerry opens up the building. Here come Eli and the New York Giants.
He signed signed
his name. Yeah. Forever marked his territory at AT&T Stadium. 500-ass quarterback going to the Hall of Fame. 2-time Super Bowl champion. That's the thing that makes me so upset.
I know what makes you the most upset. You kind of like him now, right?
I know he is kind of funny.
Exactly.
Yeah, him and Peyton, they're kind of funny. They kind of got this media thing down. But let's talk a little Cowboys, because a guy that's trying to make his mark, speaking of making his mark, Mazi Smith has been the talk, positively, negatively, a little bit in between, struggled against Seattle. Evaluations from the two of you when it comes to Mazi Smith and what he's trying to learn from what he did at Michigan to the transition that he's making into the NFL and how that's gone for him so far in your mind.
People don't know anything about football, man.
Come straight forward, right for the jugular. There it is.
But you know, that just lets you know, like, the doom and gloom nature of his fan base, right? Like, we're having outrage about a dude that's not even starting. That's the best part about Mazi. You know, he ain't got to start right now. He doesn't have to come in and be the guy right now. Like Hankins is here for that. And just indicates that, hey, Mazi has to play 3-tech. Oh, man, Oso Digizua is going to have a ridiculous year this year. So he doesn't have to. Even guys like Bohanna.
As long as he stay off that runway in Miami.
100%. So
see?
So typically, but that was nonsense.
You see that?
Nonsense.
So typically the nature of D-line is you could be as talented as you want to be. And Mazi Smith, it could be the most powerful dude in the whole DF. He's just unnaturally strong, right? But there's just certain technique things that happen with these 35-year-old offensive linemen that's just been doing this for so long that he has to get used to that part. And it's Mazi, right? A late first-round pick, Mazi Smith. You could take a one-tech that, went 10th overall. Take a Derek Brown, Ed Oliver, take a Jeffrey Simmons, take Quinnen Williams. These guys just don't roll out the bed fantastic like that, even third overall pick, and they don't roll out the bed fantastic like that. They take a year, then they get their body right, then the game slows down, then they figure out things like hands and timing and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden, Quinnen Williams, who still has a child's face, but his body's bigger now, all of a sudden, this dude is the dude.
Don't let him hear you say that, though. Apparently, Quinnen Williams take issue when you talk about his size.
Well, perfect. I would love to tell him. Humbly, respectfully, but so this idea that Mazi Smith, who has built up 3 years worth of bad Michigan habits, right? And not even bad Michigan habits. That's just what they do. College football guys do it all the time. Draft guys will tell you this. So Mazi, has built up 3 years worth of habits. And there are some knucklehead Cowboy fans that will look at Mazi and be like, all right, I want you to break all these bad habits in 5 weeks. These 3 years worth of habits, I want you to break them in 5 weeks. And I want you to be better than Jalen Carter, because I hate Eagles fans. And Jalen Carter has a little Twitter play going around right now. I have no sympathy for these people that have no clue how to read combo blocks, so they really don't know what linebacker's running free. I have no sympathy for these people that don't know, okay, well, whether you're inside or outside, where your hand's supposed to be, right? These characters that only watch the game one time while they're drunk texting, you know what I'm saying? They just think they know the game better than people that actually watch the game and watch the game again and then watch the film.
I know, right?
And then watch the film from another angle and watch the film from... Football has to be the only place where an expert will say, hey, Mazi gonna be all right. And some miscellaneous dude that knows nothing about football will go, no, he not. Football has to be the only place in the world where that's the case, right? So I just please don't listen to this nonsense that you see on social media. Mazi's going to be fine. The best part about it is Hankins is fine right now. Bohanna's getting better right now. Osa's going to be ridiculous right now. He gets to come under those guys. Mazi doesn't have to play 40 snaps a game. He can play 15. And then in year 3, Mazi gets to be ridiculous, and we can all laugh together as a family.
Sure. Okay, so real quick, before we move on, because I don't want to spend too much more time.
I can do nothing real quick. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's true.
Upset. My bad.
No, you good, because I think you were giving game. And in that, when we talk about Mazi, you say there's some things that he had some bad habits on.
Sure.
I think it's fair to also evaluate him in turn, understanding he will be good. Sure. What are those bad habits that he does need to get better at?
So Mazi had this stance, right, to where feet are square, and he would come off the ball and grab somebody. And then he'll read and react and find the ball carrier, and he'll do big, strong Mazi things like go, boom, get off me, guy, and then go run the ball, right? But if you look at everybody else, stance is staggered. My left foot may be forward or my right foot may be forward. Like, kind of like you're running track, right?
Yeah.
My come off is different. So Mazi has to learn, one, how to come off, but two, not to think about coming off. Also, Diggy Zua, guys like Neville Gallimore, they've been coming. Neville Gallimore from Oklahoma, you know what I'm saying? You can say what you want to say about it right now, but he comes off the football because that's all he's ever done. Mazi's super athlete. Osa's super athlete. That's all he's ever done. So those guys fly off the football. Mazi didn't have to fly off the football. He came off and he was strong. Now he's thinking. Now he's second guessing himself. Now he's, okay, left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. Once Mazi slows it all down, you'll see this 350-pound man moving quickly. He just has to get used to it and slow it all down.
You see the traits, man. I mean, I think even in the quote-unquote bad film, I think these are things that can be coached. And you had to get a guy like Mazi there. You weren't going to get Mazi in the second round. And the reason why I bring this up real quick is because if you want to get a guy that can stop the run and has potential to get to the pass rusher from the interior, you got to draft those guys on day one or early on day two. I know we've been living in this world where we'll get a 5th or 6th round guy, no offense to those dudes, but they don't turn out to be the Quinnen Williams. They don't turn out to be the Ed Olivers, the DeForest Buckners. These guys are being taken early, and there's a more emphasis on interior guys now than there's been probably 10 years ago. There's a more emphasis on it. So
and they're starting to make money too.
They're making money, right? So
Deron Payne.
I don't mind taking him at that position, but just understand in this microwave society, people will be impatient.
Now, let's talk about running back, because obviously Tony Pollard is your one. Now, who's running back two? What will the rotation look like? Why is there not a big bruiser? How do you see this running back rotation looking as of right now?
I think it's a stable. I'm all about having a stable or having a running back by committee in today's game. I think there's no need to have a guy that carries the ball 25, 30 times anymore or touches the ball 25, 30 times because of the physicality that they're in, the beating that they take. And it's a 17-game season now.
Yeah.
And if you want to get to the Super Bowl, it's 20, possibly 21 games. So you need to have multiple guys. And that's something that McCarthy has always had. He's had a stable of backs. So how do I see this room playing out? I don't think there's going to be a duo approach to this. I think all three, when I say three, right now, I think we all agree that it'll be Deuce Vaughn, it'll be Rico, and Tony Pollard, right? And maybe they'll try to get
in that order,
Malik
absolutely.
Davis.
Yeah.
Let's flip it. But I think what you'll see is Rico will be that bruiser. Rico Dowdle, that is. He's not a little dude. He goes 215. He runs hard. He runs angry, and he's probably their better pass protector right now. So Rico will get his shot to get involved in the offense. You have to put the ball in Deuce Vaughn's hands. So Deuce Vaughn will have these things, and we saw some things at practice yesterday. I don't know if I'm saying anything, but we saw some things in practice that if we get, Deuce and TP and these guys out there, that could be something fun. And then, are we forgetting that Tony Pollard is like that?
Yeah.
I mean, there's this weird thing going around in national media. The Cowboys are dire at the position as if Tony Pollard is not nice.
Yeah.
There's a thing I say where, he went to the Pro Bowl because he was an alternate to an alternate. No, Tony Pollard played like a Pro Bowl player, and he looks as healthy as ever coming off of that injury. So I think they're fine in this room. And if anything needs to be added, there are plenty of running backs out there, man.
Skywalker Steele, Voch Lombardi joining us here on the Get Right Live studio here on 105 through the Fan.
Hold on.
What happened?
Ronald Jones ain't come up in there.
For what?
Not really.
For what?
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that wasn't an omission. I just wanted to make that clear. Anyway, please. Yeah, you got it.
Speaking of this offensive line who's blocking for these gentlemen, I think we feel good about the starting five. Smith boys on the left side, Biotish, Zach Martin going
Smith
to the
boys. Why in my head do I see it like the Dudley boys?
Hey,
I can throw a little bit out there too.
There
Don't
you
worry
go.
about it.
There you
But anyways,
go.
continue.
Obviously got Biotish in the middle, Zach Martin on his way to the Hall of Fame at right guard, Terrence Steele right tackle. Behind those guys, well, let's go Ball, Richards. How are we feeling about the backups behind these guys right now?
Will Steele made a fantastic point the other day, and I didn't think about it. He was telling me that the O-line that we used to have, that we would much rather have that line now. I'm like, what you mean? Like, we would die for like a Cam Irvin right now. For like a Ty and Secchi, like one of those Jeremy Parnell type guys. We just don't.
Ronald Leary back in the day?
Yeah, for sure.
Man.
And I just think that it's unfortunate that, in the league, there's not a bunch of good offensive linemen anyway.
Right.
They just don't have time to train and develop these guys. So what ends up happening is that you just have to microwave play these guys. And Tyler Smith, just the whole training camp, right? Hey, guard, and then hey, week before that, Tyron Smith gets hurt. Sorry. Tyler, you're going to have to play tackle because we just didn't have any other options, right? So I do think that our first 5 is okay, but at some point, I'm just gonna find some wood to knock on, man. If anything were to happen to just a random offensive lineman on the left side, and I'm not gonna say his name, right? There's not an offensive lineman on this team that I feel great about dealing with a top tier edge guy. But if Tyler were to play left tackle, there's not a lineman on this team that I feel great about dealing with a Dexter Lawrence type guy, right? So in my mind, if I know anything about Ford, which is Dak, and I know there's a lot of people watching your show that can't stand Ford, I at least know that he can be a great quarterback with the 30th pass rush win rate offensive line. Mm-hmm. So at least what I want to do, me personally, I just want to keep the pocket clean, the front of the pocket. So Tyler Biadasz is fine. Tyler Smith is powerful. Zach Martin is powerful. And just let Dak deal with anything on the edges in the event that somebody gets hurt. And what that's looking like is 5th round pick Austin Richards. Shouts out to him. He's a guy that can play guard, can play tackle, but he can also play both sides of the ball. But I don't think the coaches want to pile that on him. So he's just going to be a left side player right now. And in college, he played against some solid competition, but none of those guys are NFL dudes. So let's just hope that Tyron Smith gets whatever D-Law got last year, where D-Law just didn't get hurt. So let's just hope that Tyron Smith makes it the whole way.
How are you viewing this shift to the Texas coast, right? Basically, these West Coast principles in being impacted, because I'm kind of mitigating some of my offensive line concerns, we'll say, because I understand the ball might be coming out a lot quicker.
Well, they still got to block. They still have to block, and Schottenheimer said we're gonna make them cover the whole field, everything. So yeah, there are some less is more type things. There are some quick game things that we can do to make it easier for Dak. But let's not get this mistaken. We're gonna get vertical also, you know. So and you can mix that up many ways, right? Play action. We can short, then deep. Like there's a lot of ways to mix this thing up. But in the event that we have to hold the ball longer, just a tick. Let's say, for example, something happens in 77. Austin Richards is there, and there's a play where we need to hold the ball a little longer. Let's get Luke Schoonmaker over there and just help, and then we'll just make things develop downfield. Well, you got something on Schottenheimer, because you love Schottenheimer.
Well, yeah, I like Shotty. I think his energy is going to be infectious.
Sure.
I think having a different voice in Dak's ear is going to help. And having that filter between Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott and the quarterbacks in general, I think it's going to be great. I don't know if you guys noticed in week 1 preseason, him being on the sideline, helping out Will Grier, and all of a sudden Will Grier went something like 17 for 20 over his next 20 passes. And if you look at the quarterbacks right now in preseason, they're completing 71% of their passes. In the last 2 years under Kellen Moore's system, they were completing 55% of their passes in preseason. So there is a clear, difference in the Texas Coast, West Coast offense helping out the quarterback. So, I'm a big fan of Schottenheimer, big fan of this system. And for the offensive line, I think there are developmental pieces, but this roster, I think, is ready to win now. So if I'm close, and I believe the Cowboys are very close, and I can shore up one part of this team depth-wise, that's the part that I want to shore up. Here's why. You've had to rely on your depth now for 3 straight years. 2020, 2021, and 2022, you've dealt with injuries up front, and you've had Terrence Steele to rely on. You've had Connor McGovern to rely on. You had Ty Nsekhe to rely on. You've got a lot of unproven guys or injured guys or rookies. And look, we like TJ Bass. We like Austin Richards. But are you ready to throw them in there to say, hey, you got to play 10 games and protect Dak Prescott's blind side? I don't know that we can quite say that just yet.
It's a scary thought when it comes to some of that. You got to make sure the guys stay healthy throughout the course of the year.
We got reporting that Marquise Bell got the call from DC saying, hey, man, you're going to be playing some linebacker, which makes me think, hey, what the hell is wrong with Jabril Cox? Like, why don't he want me, man? Right? Like, I feel like that's how he's got to feel right now. What are you guys seeing on that linebacker room?
I think Jabril Cox and Devin Harper have had solid preseasons, but does solid sound like, I'm confident. Right? I'm confident.
Not after the way that rookie was showing out before he tore his ACL.
Yes, that guy, DeMarvion
Overshown. Yeah, we got to say his name.
Yes. Demo, man, he just has this presence about him, and then that just translates onto the field, and you see that picture translating where out there where he was galvanizing the whole team. He was leading the huddle as a rookie. That's massive. So I think Brillo took a year with the ACL. Now it's time to put it together. Devin Harper, we're down there at camp. He was making a couple plays down there. It's their time to step up. And if they can't do that with camp today and then the game on Saturday, I don't know about y'all, but maybe they look into cuts. Maybe they look into trades. Maybe free agency market. But Yeah.
Also, too, though, quickly, I just think that this team is as good as it's ever been. You know, like we're on the radio right now. We're having conversation about, man, what is wide receiver 6 going to look like?
Yeah.
Right? Because
That's Reggie's favorite topic, by the way.
Yeah,
wide receiver 6.
So, you know, I don't.
I mean, this year kind of, but not really.
It's a good conversation, right? So I don't think that there's anything necessarily wrong with Cox. It's just competition in that room. It's just some dudes. And I think if we're going to be the type of team, which I think we are, if we're going to lean on D-line to keep things clean, if we're going to lean on, you know, Hankins and, you know, all those guys, Mazi and Bo, to keep those guys clean, then, yeah, there can live a world where, you know, Marquise Bell can do linebacker things sometimes. I just don't want him doing linebacker things.